Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Easy English Podcast, the podcast that helps you speak English more naturally, more confidently, every single day. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Alex, and we are so happy you joined us today. Whether you are listening at home, on the bus, or maybe while making breakfast, welcome. We are really glad you are here.
Yes, and before we start today's lesson, we have a small but important request.
If this podcast is helping you improve your English, please follow us and share this episode with a friend who is also learning. Because learning with someone else, it makes everything so much easier.
And so much more fun, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so Alex, I want to ask you something before we begin.
All right. I hope it's not too difficult.
Don't worry, it is simple. Have you ever noticed that when people are learning English, they often speak in very, very short sentences?
Oh, yes, definitely. I see this all the time.
For example, someone might say, I woke up, I ate, I went to school.
Exactly. And, those sentences are correct. They are not wrong, but they sound a little robotic, like a list, not like real speech.
Yes, exactly, like a shopping list, not a conversation.
Right. And native speakers, or more fluent speakers, they usually connect those ideas. They might say, after I woke up, I ate breakfast before going to school.
Or even, because I was running late, I skipped breakfast and ran to school.
Oh, now that sounds much more natural, much more like real English.
And this is exactly what we are going to talk about today.
Yes, today's topic is something that every English learner needs to understand, and it is called a clause.
Now, please do not be scared by that word. We are going to explain everything very simply with lots of examples and a little fun, hopefully.
A lot of fun, I hope.
By the end of this episode, you will understand what a clause is, the difference between the two main types of clauses, how to use clauses to connect your ideas, and how to sound more natural and more fluent in English.
Let's start with the most basic question. What is a clause?
A clause is simply a group of words that has a subject and a verb.
That's it. It really is that simple.
Let me give you an example. I drink coffee. Subject, I. Verb, drink. That is a clause.
Here's another one. She reads books. Subject, she. Verb, reads. Also a clause.
So every time you have a subject and a verb together, you almost always have a clause.
And clauses are the building blocks, the small pieces that make up longer, more natural sentences.
Think of them like Lego pieces. Each one is small, but when you connect them, you can build something big and beautiful.
Oh, I love that. The Lego example. That is perfect, actually.
Thank you. I thought of it this morning.
Well, now let's talk about the two main types of clauses.
Yes, because this is where it gets really interesting.
The first type is called an independent clause.
And the second type is called a dependent clause.
Don't worry too much about the names right now. Just understand what they mean.
An independent clause is a clause that can stand alone as a complete sentence. It makes sense by itself. It does not need anything else.
For example, I am hungry. That is complete. That makes sense. You understand everything.
Another example, he is watching a movie. Again, completely clear, completely finished.
Let's do a little game. I'll say a sentence, and you tell me if it feels complete. Okay, Hannah?
Ooh, okay, yes, let's do it.
The weather is beautiful today.
Yes, that is complete. I understand everything, nothing is missing.
Good. Here's another one. My sister loves cooking.
Also complete. Yes.
Exactly. Both of those are independent clauses. They stand alone, they are strong, they are independent, like their name says.
Right. And now the second type, the dependent clause.
A dependent clause cannot stand alone. It needs another clause to complete the idea.
For example, because I was tired, if someone says only that, what do you think?
I think, what happened? Because you were tired, what did you do? I'm waiting for more information.
Exactly. Your brain is waiting. It expects more because the idea is not finished.
Here's another one. When the rain started. Again, we want to know, okay, when the rain started, then what?
Right, so to complete the idea, we add an independent clause. When the rain started, I ran inside.
Now the sentence is complete. Now it makes sense.
Let me try one. Although I was very busy.
That feels incomplete. I want to know, although you were busy, what happened?
Good, and the complete sentence is, although I was very busy, I found time to exercise.
Perfect. Now the idea is finished.
So the dependent clause needs the independent clause. Like a friend, it cannot survive alone.
Oh, I like that. It needs a friend. It is dependent. It needs support.
Exactly.
Let's make a small story to practice this idea, shall we?
Yes, let's do it. Okay, so last weekend I wanted to go shopping.
And what happened?
When I checked my wallet, I realized I forgot my money at home.
Oh no. So what did you do?
Because I didn't have money, I went back home.
And although I had money, I stayed home because the traffic was terrible.
We both ended up at home for different reasons.
Yes, and notice how we used clauses to tell that story. Each sentence was connected, smooth, natural.
Instead of saying, I checked my wallet, I had no money, I went home, we said, when I checked my wallet, I realized I had no money, so because of that, I went home.
Much smoother, much more natural. Yes.
Now, let's talk about something very important. Many dependent clauses, they begin with special words, words that connect ideas.
Yes, these connecting words are sometimes called subordinating conjunctions. But please do not worry too much about that long name. Just think of them as connecting words.
Here are some very common ones. Because, when, while, although, if, before, after, since, unless.
Let me give examples for each. Because I was cold, I wore a jacket. Because explains the reason.
When I arrived, the party had already started. When gives us the time.
While I was sleeping, my phone rang. While shows two things happening at the same time.
Although it was expensive, I bought it. Although shows a contrast, something surprising.
If you study hard, you will improve. If shows a condition.
Before I go to bed, I always read. Before shows the order of events.
After the movie ended, we went for ice cream. After also shows order.
These words, they're like little signals. They tell your listener, hey, a dependent clause is coming. Something is connected here.
And once you recognize these words, English becomes so much easier to understand and to speak.
Let's do a quick practice together. I'll give the beginning, and Alex, you finish it, okay?
Okay, I'll try my best.
Because I forgot my umbrella.
I got completely wet in the rain.
Oh, poor you. Good sentence, though. Here is the next one. While I was cooking dinner.
My friend called me and we talked for an hour.
And then the food was burned, I imagine.
Maybe. Yes, probably.
Okay, one more. Although I was very tired.
I stayed awake to finish watching the series.
Yes, that is very relatable, actually.
Very, very relatable.
Great job. So we have covered the basics. Now let's go a little deeper.
Yes, because there are actually 3 types of clauses that English learners often hear about, and they are noun clauses, adjective clauses, and adverb clauses.
Now, those names, they sound complicated, I know.
They really do, but we promise by the end you will understand them clearly with simple examples.
Let's start with noun clauses.
A noun clause works like a noun inside a sentence. In other words, the whole clause acts like a thing, a subject or object inside the bigger sentence.
Here's a simple example. I know that she is a doctor. The clause is that she is a doctor. This whole part acts like the thing I know.
Another example, I believe that English is useful. The clause is that English is useful. It is the thing I believe.
Noun clauses often start with words like that, what, where, why, how, whether.
For example, I don't know where she lives. The clause, where she lives, acts like a noun, the thing I don't know.
Or, can you tell me how this works? How this works is the noun clause.
Let me ask you, Hannah, what do you think about studying grammar?
I think that studying grammar in a natural way is actually enjoyable.
And that is a perfect noun clause. That studying grammar in a natural way is actually enjoyable. That whole part is the noun clause, the thing that Hannah thinks.
Exactly. And noun clauses are very common in everyday English. We use them all the time without noticing.
For example, I don't know what time it is. Do you know if the store is open? She told me that she was coming.
All of these, every single day in normal conversation.
Now let's move to the second and final type, adjective clauses.
An adjective clause gives extra information about a noun. It describes something, just like an adjective does.
Think about the word beautiful. If I say, I met a beautiful woman, beautiful describes woman.
But instead of one word, an adjective clause gives more information. I met a woman who speaks 4 languages. The clause, who speaks 4 languages, describes the woman.
Adjective clauses often start with who, which, that, whose, where.
Here are some examples. The man who lives next door is very kind. Who lives next door describes the man.
The book that I borrowed from the library was amazing. That I borrowed from the library describes the book.
I visited the city where I was born. Where I was born describes the city.
Let me ask you something. Do you remember a teacher from school who really inspired you?
Oh, yes. I had a teacher who made every lesson feel like an adventure.
Oh, that's lovely. And notice, who made every lesson feel like an adventure. That is a perfect adjective clause. It describes the teacher.
And I also remember the classroom where we had so many interesting discussions.
Where we had so many interesting discussions, again, an adjective clause, describing the classroom.
Adjective clauses are very useful when you want to give extra details without starting a new sentence.
Instead of saying, I have a friend, she works in a hospital, you can say, I have a friend who works in a hospital.
Much smoother. One sentence, same information.
Exactly. Now let's look at the third and final type, adverb clauses.
Adverb clauses are probably the most common type and the ones you'll use every single day.
Adverb clauses give information about time, reason, condition, or contrast.
And these are the clauses that start with the connecting words we talked about earlier: because, when, while, although, if, before, after, since.
Let's go through each one carefully.
First, adverb clauses of time. They tell us when something happened.
When I arrived at the station, the train had already left. When tells us the time.
After she finished her homework, she went to play outside. After tells us the order.
Before you leave the house, please check the windows. Before gives us the sequence.
Second, adverb clauses of reason. They explain why something happened.
Because it was raining, we cancel the picnic. Because gives the reason.
Since I had no money, I walked home. Since also gives a reason.
Third, adverb clauses of condition. They show what happens if something else happens.
If you practice every day, your English will improve. If shows the condition.
Unless you study, you won't pass the exam. Unless is like a negative condition.
And fourth, adverb clauses of contrast. They show something surprising, something we didn't expect.
Although I was very full, I ordered dessert. Although shows the contrast, being full but still ordering dessert.
Even though it was late, he kept working. Even though is similar to although.
Now, let's bring all 3 types together with a little story.
Oh, yes, I love this part. Okay, let me start.
Please go ahead.
So, yesterday, I decided to visit a cafe that I had heard about from a friend who works nearby.
Oh, nice. I see two adjective clauses already that I had heard about from a friend and who works nearby, both describing nouns.
Yes, exactly. So, when I arrived at the cafe, I realized it was very crowded.
An adverb clause of time, when I arrived at the cafe. And then what happened?
Although there were many people, I decided to stay.
Adverb clause of contrast. Although there were many people, you stayed anyway.
Yes, because the coffee there is absolutely amazing.
And that is an adverb clause of reason, because the coffee there is absolutely amazing.
And the barista, who made my coffee, was so friendly and helpful.
Another adjective clause, who made my coffee, describing the barista.
I know that I will go back there again very soon.
And a noun clause to finish, that I will go back there again very soon. The thing that Hannah knows.
We did it! We used all three types in one small story.
And it sounded completely natural, not forced, not complicated, just normal conversation.
That is the beauty of clauses. When you know them well, you use them without thinking.
Now, let's talk about some common mistakes that learners make with clauses.
Yes, because knowing the mistakes helps you avoid them.
The first common mistake is using a dependent clause as if it is a complete sentence.
For example, someone might write, "because I was late," and stop there.
But that is incomplete. That is a fragment, not a full sentence. Your listener or reader, they will wait. Because you were late, then what happened?
The correct version is, "because I was late, I missed the beginning of the meeting."
Now the idea is complete. Always make sure that your dependent clause is connected to an independent clause.
The second common mistake is making sentences that are too long, too connected.
For example, because I was tired, and because I worked all day, and because the traffic was terrible, and because I was also hungry.
By the end of that sentence, I have completely forgotten the beginning.
Exactly. Your listener gets lost. So keep it clear. Connect 2 or 3 ideas at most, and then start a new sentence.
Short and clear is always better than long and confusing.
The third mistake is forgetting the comma when the dependent clause comes first.
Oh, yes, this is a very common one. When the adverb clause is at the beginning of the sentence, you need a comma after it.
For example, because I was tired, comma, I went to bed early. The comma is there after tired.
But if the independent clause comes first, you usually do not need a comma. I went to bed early because I was tired. No comma needed there.
Ah, that is a great point. I did not think about that before.
It is a small thing, but it makes your writing look much more professional.
Agreed. Now let's do some more practice, because practice is really the only way to improve.
Yes, let's do a longer practice this time. I will give the beginning of a sentence, and you complete it, and then you give me one, and I will complete it, okay?
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, first one. When I was a child.
When I was a child, I believed that I would become an astronaut.
Oh, that's lovely and very ambitious. Okay, your turn.
All right. Although she studied very hard,
Although she studied very hard, she did not pass the exam, and she was very disappointed.
oh, that's sad, but a very good sentence. Okay, here's another one from me. If I had more free time,
If I had more free time, I would learn how to paint because I find art very relaxing.
nice, you even added a second clause, because I find art very relaxing. Very impressive.
Thank you. Okay, last one for you. While I was reading the book,
While I was reading the book that my colleague recommended, I realized that it was exactly the kind of story that I love.
oh wow, that had so many clauses in it. An adverb clause, an adjective clause, and another adjective clause all in one sentence. And it sounded natural.
Huh, I surprised myself there.
You should be proud. That was excellent.
Now, let's talk about how to practice clauses in real life, because we always like to give practical advice.
Yes, the first tip is start small. Don't try to use all three types at once. Just pick one type and practice it for a few days.
For example, this week, focus only on adverb clauses. Every time you describe something, try to add because or when or although.
The second tip is listen carefully to English speakers in movies, podcasts, or songs, and notice when they use clauses.
You'll start to hear them everywhere once you know what to look for.
Exactly. Awareness is the first step.
The third tip is keep a small notebook or use your phone and write 3 sentences every day using clauses.
Just 3 sentences every day. And after 2 weeks, you'll notice a real difference in how you speak.
And the fourth tip, which is maybe the most important, is speak and do not be afraid of making mistakes.
Mistakes are how we learn. Nobody learned a language perfectly by staying silent.
Absolutely. When you make a mistake with a clause, and you will, your brain actually remembers the correct version better.
Because the mistake surprised you, and your brain pays attention to surprises.
Exactly. So mistakes are, in a strange way, very helpful.
Now, let's talk about how clauses help you in specific situations, in real conversations.
Oh yes, good idea. Let's think about some everyday situations.
Situation 1. Describing your day. Instead of saying, I woke up, I had breakfast, I went to work, you can also say, after I woke up and had a quick breakfast, I went to work, although the traffic was terrible.
Much more interesting, much more detailed.
Situation 2. Explaining a decision. Instead of saying, I bought a new phone, you can say, I bought a new phone because my old one broke and because the new one had features that I really needed.
See how clauses give context? They help the listener understand not just what happened, but why and how.
Situation 3. Telling a story. Stories become so much richer with clauses.
Instead of, I met a man, he was interesting, he told me a story, you can say, I met a man who was incredibly interesting and who told me a story that I will never forget.
Oh, that second version, it makes me want to hear the story immediately.
Right? It creates interest, it creates curiosity, and that is the power of good English.
Situation 4. Making polite requests or suggestions. Clauses help you sound more polite.
For example, instead of, come tomorrow, you might say, if you have time tomorrow, it will be great if you could come.
Or instead of, don't be late, you could say, because the meeting starts at 9 exactly, it would be helpful if you could arrive a few minutes early.
So much softer, so much more polite, and much more natural sounding.
Clauses really do affect the whole feeling of what you are saying.
They do, and that is something that takes time to learn. But once you understand it, your English transforms.
Okay, I think it is time for our final review because we have covered a lot today.
We really have. And let's bring it all together.
A clause is a group of words with a subject and a verb. That is the most basic definition.
And there are 2 main types. Independent clauses, which can stand alone as complete sentences, and dependent clauses, which cannot stand alone. They need another clause.
Dependent clauses often begin with connecting words like because, when, while, although, if, before, after.
We also learned about 3 specific types of clauses. Noun clauses, which work like nouns. For example, I know that she is tired.
Adjective clauses, which describe nouns. For example, the woman who called me is my sister.
And adverb clauses, which explain time, reason, condition, or contrast. For example, although I was late, I did not miss anything important.
And we talked about common mistakes, like using a dependent clause alone, or making sentences too long, or forgetting the comma.
And we gave 4 practical tips for practicing. Start small, listen for clauses in real English, write 3 sentences every day, and speak without fear.
The more you use clauses, the more natural they will feel, and the more natural your English will sound.
So, starting today, When you describe your day, or tell a story, or explain something to a friend, try to connect your ideas instead of listing them.
Instead of, I was tired, I slept early, say, because I was tired, I slept early.
That one small change makes a big difference.
And it will come naturally with practice.
Remember, fluency is not about speaking fast. It is about speaking smoothly and clearly, and clauses help you do exactly that.
Beautifully said, Alex.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Easy English Podcast. We hope you learned something useful, something that you can start using right away.
Keep practicing, keep speaking, do not be afraid of mistakes, and remember, every sentence you make is one step closer to fluency.
We'll see you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye.